of people in New York City. And that's why we do what we do. So our mission is to facilitate or to promote the successful inclusion of all immigrant communities in New York City. And we do this in a number of ways. And the first way we do this is via laws and regulations and executive orders. Now, these are meant to protect and support immigrant communities. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Executive Order 34 and 41. What this essentially does is say that regardless of your immigration status, whether you are documented, undocumented, whether or not you have citizenship, you have a right to access city services. So for instance, if you're undocumented and you want to report a crime to the New York Police Department, all the information you give is confidential. They won't ask about your immigration status. They won't disclose that information to any other city agency. Of course, there are some exceptions, such as if you're applying for public benefit. Since that is state and federal, we do not have jurisdiction over that. So if you don't have citizenship status, unfortunately, you're not eligible to apply. But the information you give to try to apply won't be released. And then we have Executive Order 120, which that's because around 25% of New Yorkers don't speak English comfortably. That means English is not their first language. So what this executive order states is that if you want to access a city service, whether the Department of Homeless Services or Department of Education, health insurance, they will have someone on site to help translate for you. We currently provide translation in over 100 languages, including Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, French, and about, I think, 6 more other languages that are the most common. In total, we have over 100 languages that we support. And sometimes, if there's not someone on site who can help you translate, we use a telephone interpretation service to help you translate. And then we have Executive Order 128, and this states that this is kind of sort of a celebration event. It's held every April, every spring, and essentially it brings us together all immigrant communities throughout New York City for Immigrant Heritage Week to celebrate your heritage. And the last one is Local Law 30, which states that city agencies that work directly with the public, such as the mayor's office, we have to translate our most commonly distributed documents in all the languages that are most commonly spoken, such as, and that's currently, I think, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, Hindi, Bengali, French, and around 4 more, I think. But it's basically based on Department of Education stats and census stats to determine what the top 10 languages are. And so that's all for executive orders. And now I'm going to talk about some of the programs we have in place to support immigrant communities. And they are ID NYC. And does anyone have an ID NYC card? Or has anyone heard of it? I have 1 hand, 2 hands. Anyone else? 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's not too bad.
How many have an ID NYC card? Hands up.
I see more hands.
Look. They do. Okay.
Yeah, it's a New York City ID. So for those of you who don't have it, I'm going to talk about some how you can get it, what are the benefits, and those of you who have it, I'm going to expand on the benefits so you guys know like everything you have access to with this card. And then I'll talk about Action NYC and New York citizenship, which can help you for those who are seeking legal status or have legal questions. And then We Are in New York, which is an English language learning program you can learn from your own home. Next. So what the ID NYC card is, it's a New York City identification card. It's different from New York State identification card in that the only thing you have to prove with this is that you live in New York City, that you are who you are, some form of identification, and that you have to be over 14 years of age. The thing with this card is that you don't have to have legal status to get this card. So you can be undocumented and they will give you this card. And the reason why we do this is is to support New York City as a whole. Because for a lot of people who may be undocumented, they carry around on them their foreign passport or their green card or their visa. And so on the off chance that they get stopped by an officer and they show this foreign passport, there's a chance that the police are gonna ask more questions. With this card, the only thing it says is that you are who you are and that you live in New York City. And it's accepted by all city agencies. It's accepted by the New York Police Department. It's a valid form of identification. So if you're undocumented or you don't have legal status or it's in the works, we highly recommend that you get this card just as an extra form of protection. And so to get this card, it also gives you a bunch of other benefits that I'm going to talk about. So yeah, like I said, you must be at least 14. You have to be able to prove that you live in New York City, and that means within the 5 boroughs. So that's Staten Island, Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan. And also that you are who you are. Like I said, you don't have to be a citizen to get this card, but what you have to do is prove that you are who you are. So sometimes that means showing them a green card, showing them a foreign passport, showing them an out-of-state or like out-of-country ID. We accept those. For a whole list of the types of documents we accept, I have the pamphlet over there, so you can have a look at it and see which documents you have. And after that, you can just show them those documents and get the ID NYC card. And if you have a New York State ID, that means that's the only thing you have to show to get the ID NYC card. Because this has a photo, this has that you live in New York City, so that fulfills all the requirements. And some of the benefits, it's accepted by the NYPD, it's accepted by city agencies. If you apply for city services, you can use that as well. You can use this to access every single library in New York City with just this one card. And again, additional benefits, you can have access to health insurance and health services. You can apply for your CUNY and GED registration. And you can also file your income taxes for free. Yeah, and these are just additional discounts. If you're interested, you can get half off movie tickets. You get pet center discounts, you get grocery store discounts. And you can also use this account to open up, this card to open a bank account. But one key thing to note with opening a bank account, it's only valid for New York City banks. That means, unfortunately, if you try to open an account with, say, JP Morgan or TD Bank, they will not accept it because these are on a national and sometimes even global level. So as a city, we don't have that jurisdiction to tell them to accept this card. So it only works for these city banks. And it also doesn't authorize, and there's some limitations with this card. Since it is a city card, you cannot go on an airplane with this card. You cannot receive public benefits. You cannot drive a vehicle because that's state jurisdiction, that's not New York City.
Purchase alcohol.
And also you cannot purchase alcohol or tobacco. And also before I move on, the ID NYC card, one of the most used benefits